This is going to be led by Brian Dino, who's with us tonight. He's our instructional specialist on the Ed Tech and STEAM team. As people start to come in, just get settled. We are waiting for interpretation. As soon as they arrive, we will be sure to let you know. That's typically our next step, but we'll give them just a couple minutes. Thank you for your patience. Thanks for being here. I see some familiar names, which I love. We're really building a Face University learning community here. And I know
Yeah.
that it's late, so thanks again for being here. I'm sure you're trying to set up for dinner, doing everything else in between. Um, but he's got some really great tips for you, so it'll be time well spent. This is one of my favorite presentations from last year. I learned a lot too, just being safe online for myself as an adult. So you'll have a lot of good takeaways for yourself and your child or your students if you're a teacher coming to join us tonight. But right now we do have Vietnamese. So I'll have you repeat this in Vietnamese in case we have any Vietnamese speakers here with us tonight.
Okay.
We are, so if you're connecting from a computer, click on the interpretation globe icon, click on the language you want to hear, and to hear the interpreted language only, just make sure you mute the original audio. If you're on a mobile device, you're looking for three ellipses, that's three dots. You'll tap language, and then you'll tap the language that you want to hear. Can you repeat that?
Actually, I'm still looking. You say there's a globe. I have in my bottom bar. I don't
Hmm?
see. They say chat in interpretation. And what was it? The icon?
It's
I,
a globe interpretation icon.
I don't see it. I see share screen, record, show caption, reaction apps, whiteboards.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm going
oh,
to go ahead and start the channel. That'll put you in the channel. Let me know if it shows up, okay?
okay.
Okay, we can't hear you speaking, so that means usually the channel is open.
Yes. Yes, he is in the Vietnamese channel now.
Okay, so we're good to go on Vietnamese again as soon as Spanish arrives. I will do it again and let you know. But for now, we're going to start our live stream. What that does mean is if you don't feel comfortable with your camera on, or just make sure that you have that off so that people aren't looking in. And just don't share anything personal. Like we don't want to share addresses, phone numbers. Keep that to yourself for this session. Once we get to the questions at the end, we will turn off the live stream so that will be fully private for you, okay? So as we get that started, Mark's going to lead you through some of our next steps to open up the session.
Yes, so I'm going to read our DPS land acknowledgement. Locally, Native peoples have a unique and notable history that has impacted the development of the Front Range over the centuries. It is also important that we ground ourselves in the DPS Land Acknowledgement, which was written by Dr. Tink Tinker in collaboration with our Native American Culture and Education, our NACE team in 2021. The DPS community acknowledges our indigenous relatives who have lived in and cared for this ancient land from time immemorial. We acknowledge the close relationship that Arapaho, Cheyenne, Southern Ute, and Ute Mountain Ute and natives of other tribal nations continue to have with the waters, plants, and all moving things that call this land home. We pledge our respect for those enduring indigenous connections to the place we now call Colorado. To our students and employees who are part of tribal nations, thank you for being an important part of the DPS community by choosing to learn and work at DPS each day. So, I will also read the DPS equity statement. Racial and educational equity is our collective responsibility. We will achieve equity when we dismantle deeply rooted systems of oppression that have historically resulted in inequitable access and distribution of opportunities and resources for those who represent marginalized identities, including race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, language, and ability. We will create conditions where we all
Yeah, I'm
belong,
online.
are
I'm about ready to
included,
do a
have
webinar.
clear
Thank you.
purpose, and
Yeah, and I got
why
the code.
we
Thank
have
you.
the autonomy to lead in our respective areas. By creating these conditions, we will eliminate the predictability of success or failure for our students and team members. So, when families and communities thrive, every learner thrives. So, we will have our FACE University norms. So, lean into discomfort, have compassion for yourself and others, respect the lived experiences and culture of others, and withhold any personal identifiable information. So, with that being said, we will now start our Raising Media Smart Kids. Some of the topics we will look at are setting parents up for success, media reviews and media literacy, media management and tips for families. And this will be presented by Brian Dino with our public schools ed tech team.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Brian, did you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll go ahead
Okay.
and share my screen. Thank you. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Brian Dino. I'm with the DPS Ed Tech and STEAM team. Just a little bit about myself. I've been with Denver Public Schools for about 24 years now, and we have 2 young adults now. One of them went to DPS schools, and we lived through this media age and still living through it. So a lot of the tips that I'll share with you and our team shares, I've experienced. And I believe the slide deck and the recording of this will be up on the FACE website later on. So if you want to reference it, I know it's a busy time for families right now. So you can come back and reference the material if you need to. So we're going to talk about let me just advance here. We're going to hopefully share with you a few tips that might help you manage family media, share with you what we think is the best review system in the country, and hopefully share with you some tips on cell phone use and social media. And again, I'm with the Ed Tech team. We help if you have a child in DPS, chances are they're in grades 3 through 12. They probably have a Chromebook or a device issued by us, and our team tries to make sure that technology is used wisely in your kids' hands. So that's part of the reason for this presentation. We're going to reference a lot of material from a nonprofit called Common Sense Media. We think they're the best authority in the country on kids, family, and media. So a lot of that content will be coming from their site, and you can see for yourself at commonsense.org. They really have nothing to sell, so we like that. As you know, the internet has a few things to sell, and they're very transparent about who funds them. So let me I'll just ask you, what are your biggest concerns about digital media? Think about that. There'll be since we're on Zoom here, we won't open the chat just now, but we'll in a moment. Let me just share with you what I hear from parents a lot is, again, access. Everybody has access to my child as soon as I give them a device. Concerns with safety are a big issue. That's one of the biggest concerns we have. What age should I give my kid a cell phone? We'll talk about that. And then, of course, if your child has a device issued by Denver Public Schools, hopefully you see some of the strengths for digital media. Parents now have access to what their kids are doing for homework or in the classroom. Some of our schools now do parent conferences over Meet later in the year, and that's convenient for a lot of folks. So here's really the guiding question is how do we balance media, use media balance in our family? How do we find quality content and set expectations around healthy use? And really, we want to raise media savvy kids. So there's a lot coming at them, but how do we get them to be smart consumers of all of this media? So we actually front loaded a lot of our best tips right at the front here. So let me just talk about those. One of the first practices is use media with your kid. Now, this is obviously a lot easier when your kids are young, but the one common thing you'll hear for young parents is co-viewing, because that's the chance where you can sit and watch content with your child, whether it's watching a movie, playing a game with them, but trying to co-view or use that media with a kid is one of the best tips. So you can interpret it, you can talk about the messages, etc. The commercials make real connections, because obviously as they get older, when I used to teach high school, the number one thing I would get at parent conferences from ninth grade parents is like, how come my kids stopped talking to me? Well, as they get older, communication might be more challenging, but they may not want to watch a lot of media with you. So use it with your child, especially when they're young, as much as you can. You got to know your rules. We have a link here to the family media agreement. I'm just going to click on that. We have 3 family media agreements here. I'll just show you a basic one from Common Sense Media. It keeps it really simple. A lot of parents use these, especially when handing out a cell phone. I know we use these when our kids wanted cell phones. We had them fill this out, and also there's some lines there for them to put on what they'll be responsible for, and some families put this on the refrigerator just to communicate how serious this world is for them. So you might find that helpful. There's very simple ones, and there's also one here that is customizable, especially if your kid does a lot of video gaming. So that might help you establishing some rules. Screen time. That it's tough to say. Really, you don't hear that term as much, just because we do a lot on the screen. I know some kids who do a lot more reading now, if they have a Kindle or if they have a dedicated reading. So that is screen time, but they're actually doing a lot of academic work. So, but if you're looking for a suggestion, we think this one's pretty good. No more than 4 hours of total screen time per day for adolescents. And again, it really comes down to the intent. What are they doing on the screen? So that's a key question to ask. And if you're looking for another guideline as far as socializing, we like the Center for Youth Mental Health. They have a ratio of like 3 to 5 hours of in-person socializing for every 1 hour a teen spends on social media. So if you have teens, that might be a good guideline to start with. But knowing, every family is different. This last one, media creation, as well as consumption. Our kids are consuming a lot of media, but think about how they can also create that, whether it's a podcast or even, in school, they're creating media, book reports, reading, consuming. How are they reflecting on it? So trying to get that balance is important, so they're not just consuming a lot of media, but critically thinking about it. And lastly, this tough one is for adults. Model the behavior you want to see, and that's tough. I know when our kids were little, we tried to do a lot of our email and correspondence when they were in bed, and that's tough. But also we tried to narrate a lot what we were doing on the screen, so they knew when we had to go to a screen, we'd say, well, let's look that up, or let me respond to this. So it was very intentional. But as they get older, they will probably mimic what you're doing with media. So those are some opening guiding principles. As far as what your kid sees, wow, it's a different world than the ones that you probably grew up in. There are so many options for media for your kids now. So we think, and Common Sense thinks, you should be choosy. And how do you choose? You want high quality and age appropriate content. And this is really where common sense shines. So the common sense ratings and reviews, chances are if your kid wants to do it on a screen, play it, watch it, interact with it, stream it, if they want to do it on screen, chances are common sense will have a rating for it. They'll rate it for age appropriateness. They'll have like a little nutritional label. And so let me show you their site. They rate over again 40,000 pieces of media. Here's just some opening ones here. TikTok, they say 15 plus. Now that's, I know, pretty conservative, but they will tell you again, there's a lot of, we'll talk a little bit more about TikTok later. There's their age rating. TikTok, same thing for Instagram, 15 plus. If you know somebody on Instagram, we do a lot of school presentations. They don't bring their phones in, but sometimes if I have a chance after school, I'll ask to see a kid's Instagram feed if they let me. Look at a kid's Instagram feed. Just look at it and see, and you might be surprised at what is coming at youth today. So that's why it's rated 15 plus. And this last one, Snapchat, it works as advertised. So we have a lot of principals who call us at elementary school saying, can you come educate our community about Snapchat? Because we have elementary kids using Snapchat, and you see the age rating there at 16 plus. So Snapchat pretty much works as advertised. Your child gets a snap, they look at it, and then it'll disappear from their phone. So that's something really seriously to consider, especially for very young kids. I'm going to just pop over to the Common Sense site just so you can see that. And here's the Common Sense Media site. So this is Common Sense Media, and you can see I'm in their movie guide here. You can pretty much select age range, streaming services, content limits, character strengths. I like the Common Sense Media selections. If they have the Common Sense label on it, that means everybody can watch that movie. If you're trying to find the best of, this is where they excel. So games, I was at a school today and Roblox was the topic at this K through 8 school. So games, they have the best game lists. So best video games of the year, game awards. So try to Common Sense selections for podcasts, but anything, again, they rate the best games too. So it helps if you could try to say yes to a few things so your kid doesn't gravitate towards the say the inappropriate content. But again, you can see movies, TV, books, yay books. I work next to library services, so shout out to them. We'll talk about what they provide for you all for families. Podcasts, apps, YouTube. There's YouTube has influencers, right? So if we click the YouTube, they have YouTube channel reviews. So here's their site. There's Mr. Beast is very popular. There's a review for him. If your kid starts following somebody on YouTube, chances are Common Sense has a rating for it. So use their media ratings, very powerful. They do even games too. So I had a parent ask me about this one, Grand Theft Auto, and I'll just show you a detailed review. So here's Grand Theft Auto, and if we click into it, it'll give you a very detailed review. Tells you the age range, what parents need to know, why is it 18 plus, because here's the categories. Is there any positive content? So gives you a full review of it. And if it's a very popular platform, they might have an in-depth guide on it. So even on the game site, Common Sense selections for games, I'm going to click on that. And they have 78 games here. And you can sort them. You can do filtering for age and other content. So use those ratings. Very helpful for parents to set limits with those ratings. All right, I'm going to switch back to my slide presentation here. And for younger kids, again, you want to be looking for apps that have positive messages. Again, Common Sense will rate those. Educational value. If you go to like the Apple Store, I think last time I was out there were like 45,000 sites and apps that said we're an educational app, and most of those are not. They're trying to just get categorized that way. So again, it's nice to have Common Sense. Look it up. You can look it up for its educational value, but that's what you want to be looking for younger kids. And as they get older, though, the kids will want other content. We start seeing requests for social media apps, in upper elementary. And I love this quote here from the Common Sense focus groups. Adults think I'm addicted to tech. No, I just am addicted to my friends. So where my friends are going, I want to be in the loop. So this is where parents have to be the training wheels. So your child will start advocating for a cell phone, and this is probably the most common question we get from parents. And there's a whole article on that there, but you really want to ask these 4 quadrants. Is your kid responsible enough? Is it going to help them be safe? Is there a benefit to having a phone? What's the social cost that might be one of the biggest reasons for a phone we see is like kids feel left out. I don't have a phone, so I am left out of the social gatherings, or maybe the sleepovers, or the play nights. So that is one of the biggest reasons we see for phones. And of course, are they able to follow rules with it? We'll give you there's an intermediate point you can follow before giving them a full-fledged phone. And that's a flip phone. So all the cell phone companies have these. I would go to their store, go to their website, and look for a flip phone. Your child will not like you, but this is a good training wheel. And they can't put a lot of apps on it, and they can't put social media on it. But it's a good starting point, and you can see how they do with it. There's also a lot of parents use the Gab phone. You can't do web or browsing. Has a lot of built-in parental controls, and you can monitor the communication. And we're also seeing numerous watches out there. So think about that as a starting point. As once you go full cell phone, you're going to have a lot more work as a parent, depending how you want to manage that with your child. At this point, I'm going to have you come on in the chat here. Tell me what works for your family. So just put in the chat, or you can even come off mute if you want, and I think it's mainly just have chat. What's working for you and your family? What devices are you using? Any watches or a limited phone?
Adriana Kira has the T-Mobile Sync Up for her 6th grader.
Oh, okay. T-Mobile Sync Up. So yeah, we adults are paid. The cell phone companies, there's like 4 or 5 of them left, the big ones. They want to keep you as a customer, but they also know you want it. They know you want your kids safe. So they've got plans and systems and devices for you. So go to them first. T-Mobile Sync Up. I hadn't heard of that, so thank you for sharing that.
Adriana, you're welcome to come off mute and share. She has her hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to share. I just got it this summer because he was going into 6th grade, and I pay, I think it's less, like $17 a month, because I added a line. And I told him, I said, it's going to be for you to communicate. He could do video calling, he could do texting, and I have the app where I approve who's going to be on that list. So he can't just add everybody in there. And once he moves up to a phone in the future, I'm thinking till he's a teenager up in the line, high school or something, hopefully, that he stays with the same phone number, because it's the T-Mobile. And
Yep.
when I added the line, they gave me the phone the watch for free with the
Okay.
added line. I did put because the reviews were okay on the watch, so I did put the insurance on it. But I
Hmm.
thought, well, if I got if I got the watch for free, it's worth putting the insurance on it.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Because I told him it's just to communicate when I'm picking you up, your dad's picking you up, or someone else that I added on the list. Is that piece of information that he just could feel confident that he could get a hold of us.
Yeah.
That was the biggest piece, and he's
Great.
been okay with it. It's kind of like going back to that. It's just a communication piece. I didn't grow up with one, and
Yep.
he seems to be okay with it. So yeah, that's why I
Right.
wanted to speak up and say how it's been working for me.
Right.
So, okay.
Well, good. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
have another
Yeah.
share from Shannon. She's sharing that our kid does not have an iPhone and feels their friend has an iPhone, so they feel a little left out with the Android devices.
Yep. Yeah. And I would, again, the, your kid is, and we had this from our two kids when they hit middle school. It's like, I'm the only one without a cell phone. I would try to talk to other parents and, see what they do. The biggest thing again is they might feel left out. So it's like, again, how do you arrange those play dates? The parents might have to arrange something. But again, once you go iPhone, now, just as uh, we heard from Adriana, you can do a lot of controls. I mean, I know a parent on the iPhone plan, she can see every text message her kid sends on that iPhone, and she just says, tell your friends, I'm going to see every text they send you. Now, that's a lot of management on her part, but that's the way she's choosing to parent. So she sees every text her kid sends and every text she receives. So you can do all that. But again, once you put essentially a computer in your kid's pocket, you have to decide how much time you want to manage that. And that's, again, every family is different. If kids are on buses or waiting and, our weather's been good, but if you got a kid walking home by themselves, I get it. So I would talk with other parents, but again, it could be pretty, I understand the isolation if your kid can't get into those conversations, but I would chat with other parents and maybe you can be the go-between to setting things up. But it's I understand that. Thank you for sharing that, Shannon.
Yep. And then just one more comment here. I'm sorry, Diana Herrera has her kids doing homework and cleaning or chores before screen time, and they have their kids in the Google location sharing. Adriana also has location sharing for the T-Mobile device.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Cleaning room, chores. I mean, that family media agreement. I know parents when they put in writing, here's what you'll do first. You'll have a minimum GPA, or you'll do chores, and then you can have the cell phone. I know some parents like when you have to have the password. I know some parents like, I'll give you a phone, but I have the password, so they can't install any apps. And then again, that's more work on the parent, but it's yeah, I would a lot of good tips here. And yes, thank you again, Diana. No, again, no cell phones at table when they're eating, because again, you have this limited window, and our two kids are now in late teens, early 20s, but you have that limited window because you um, if you've been into any high school recently, you will see how kids communicate. I was just at one the other day, and this is the kids' world in high school. So yeah, that FaceTime and eye contact is important. All right, so thank you for sharing. Let's talk again, social media. We're going to just cover a little bit about that. Again, with social media, a lot of positives, but let's look at a couple other things. TikTok. Again, I would look at the common sense ratings on TikTok. They say 15 plus. That might be a little high for a lot of families. But just this month, I want you to know TikTok's being sued by 14 states. And in their court papers here, these things were accidentally revealed by TikTok themselves. there was an error on the redactions where they delete stuff, and so it was revealed. And so TikTok themselves knows, they know the harmful effects on teenagers. They look at this, their investigation. This is TikTok's own internal research that they did not want the public to see, but again, it was unredacted. Kids can become addicted to TikTok after just 35 minutes of use. So again, just what you want your kid to do if as soon as they're, again, setting limits, but they know TikTok is very addictive. And they also, this last bullet point here, TikTok interferes with kids' normal lives. According to TikTok, they knew it interfered with essential personal responsibilities like sleep, work and school, and connecting with loved ones. So they know how powerful it is. So just, again, be aware of that. And important to monitor your child if they do have access to TikTok, because TikTok themselves knows what they're doing. That's why it's the most popular app in this country. I forget which country just banned it. India about 6 months ago banned it and has not gone back to it. So so know that about TikTok. And this was on the top 10 bestseller list right now. Jonathan Haidt, his research. I like what he says. He says, most of us probably on this meeting here, we had a play-based childhood, and now kids since 2012 have had a phone-based childhood. So just something to consider. Again, here's his tips: limiting social media use. Again, his top one: delay smartphone ownership. If you can do that, that's his best tip. But again, each family is different. Again, face-to-face interactions and free play. I know it's some sleepovers. Parents are like, "Hey, we're gonna have sleepover, but the phones go into a bag, and for 3 hours, you're just gonna be kids again." And you should ask your school too. I support mostly the K-8s in elementary, and some of our K-8s and that have really cracked down on the cell phone usage this year, which I'm glad to see. California, they've banned it in 2 years. They supposedly, we'll see if it's all about the execution of it, but California says they're going to ban it. Colorado, we haven't seen any action on that, but ask your school what their policy is and how that's enforced. Just a couple other tips I'll share here. If you do give your kid a phone, I love this: don't go from 0 to 100. Because we see a kid getting a phone and like, all right, okay, good. You have a phone. Well, you need Instagram, you need TikTok, you need Snapchat. And look at this third bullet here. Common sense found the average teen manages 237 notifications a day if they don't turn them off. So as an adult how many interruptions you get, but imagine a 12-year-old mind all of a sudden getting a phone and having all those apps, boom, all those notifications. And what does that crowd out? It crowds out other things you might be wanting them to do: sleep, schoolwork, etc. So maybe consider one social app when you think they're ready, and see how it goes. So love that. Don't go from 0 to 100. Let them ease into it. A few other tips. The American Pediatrics, they, try to be hands-on very early. That critical window is 10 to 14 is what they say. So that's something to think about. A few other, again, we've somebody mentioned again T-Mobile, but there's lots of ways to get insight into what your kid's doing if you want to do that. Apple has screen time settings, Android has them. And again, your kid, if they're going to go to have that phone in their bedroom at night, chances are it's going to be a pretty big distraction for them. So charge those devices outside of the bedroom. Hear from parents, and DPS actually, we hear from parents, after school is when my kid does a lot of the cell phone use, so I need to get them into activities, and activities can cost a lot of money. I was just came from kicking off a robot program, so that those kids were engaged for their after school. But we have this DPS Spark program, so you might want to look into that. You're like, I want to get my kid into an activity, but I need some help with the funding. So DPS, this is their second year with that. So look into that for after school activity support. And again, there's those guidelines if you're looking for a firm ratio of how much time should my kid be spending on a screen versus socializing. And again, since if you're looking for talking points, like I don't even know how to talk to my child about this because I didn't have it. Like the American Academy of Pediatrics actually have scripts or talking points you can use with your kids here, and their link is on this slide. So if you have, I don't know if folks on the call have teenagers. If they do, here's some tips for teenagers. Teenagers, this is their world. Ask them who they're following. So if you're trying to connect with them, that's a good opening question. I always talk with teens like, who you listening to? If you really want to be concerned, ask them where they're getting their news from. Okay, they will probably tell you a TikTok or that might be their sole source of news. So some advice for parents of teens. And if you have a teen really addicted to social media, there's some help articles there. With bullying, the biggest thing we want to say on this is, again, if you see something, try to address it with the school first. We don't recommend addressing it with the kid or the parent. Always go to the school first to try to resolve that, so they can be involved and they're trained on that. We also, in our student education, try to collect proof of it, so screenshots or whatever, so you can actually take action on it.
And we do have a few comments I wanted to address before you move
Yeah,
forward.
sure.
We had Christine was mentioning that having those cell phone free policies in schools is critical. In summary, because it's a bit of a page, but we can definitely like review it at the end, or feel free to come off mute. But it just helps their academic and social environment so that they're not so distracted all the time. Beyond academics, that phone free environment helps with the social challenges that can arise from social media. And a cell phone free policy is not only an educational strategy, but a holistic approach. So that was from Christina. We had a note from Diana that where she doesn't have good reception, so turning off Wi-Fi access from Xfinity. And then someone said Adriana's son's school is not allowed to have cell phones out during school hours. So
Yeah.
I guess just some comments on how you feel about the cell phone policy is what we have.
Awesome. Yeah, and in the schools I've been in, that the K through 8s that have limited the cell phone policy, the teachers report being the kids more engaged and more socialized too. Not even at lunch too, they don't allow, which I'm a fan of, because at lunch, the kids with the phones, they'll be on the phones, and the kids without the phones, it's kind of like, what do we do here? So they've even banned them at lunch. The key, so I'm glad to see that. The biggest part is educating the parents, because parents expect to get a hold of the kid, but you have to, when our daughter was in DPS school for 3 years, all we got were calls from the landline. Each classroom in DPS has a landline, and we got calls from the landline. So they have landline access, and so do the schools have messaging systems. So if you need to get a message to your kid, the school should be able to do that without you having to go through their phone. So but seeing a lot more schools, not just in Denver, but in Colorado, banning cell phones. You can do it at the K through 8 level. High schools, a whole other challenge, I'll say. It's generally classroom by classroom at the high schools I've been in. All right, so and just so you know, we're doing at DPS, that we have a digital citizenship curriculum. A lot of schools, this is, again, Common Sense has great lessons in multiple languages on this. They also now have AI lessons. So if you want to be on the cutting edge and let your kid know about AI, they also have lessons on that. We like this: choose, check, and chat. Help your kid make good choices. Maybe consult those common sense ratings. Check in with your kid, and then chat with them. If something does go awry, and chances are it will, you want them trying to come to you first, or at least somebody you trust. There is lots of tracking software out there. We have those in our slides. We don't recommend any, but lots of parents use this, and it's just up to you. There's OpenDNS, and then we have a link to lots of other, it's called parental control or tracking software. So, and again, it just depends how much you want to spend and how much time you have. Again, as mentioned earlier in the chat, a lot of the cell phone companies already have these for your cell phone, but you can also extend it to the kid's computer or other things. So we have a link to that. If your child does have a Chromebook from us, again, we do a lot of filtering. A lot of people are, again, trying to get to your kids, sell them stuff. So if you see any appropriate sites, let your school know. You can't delete browsing history. So I said, this is a nice conversation starter for parents. You can just, say, let's take a look at your schoolwork on your Chromebook, or, what sites you're learning from. And we actually, I think we're the only school district that provides all of these resources here, our library resources. So we have a link to our Lion page here. And look at this. You don't need to send your kid, your kid has a homework project, don't send them to Google, because as soon as you do that, your ads are going to come up. Who knows what's going to come up? We have, as shown here, let me see if I can blow it up just a little. There we go. For younger kids, we got Pebble Go. We have encyclopedias online in English and Spanish. And we also have Discovery Education, all without ads. So your kid can focus on the content. So we provide those free. Your student just needs their login. And then for ebooks, we have over 30,000 ebooks and audiobooks for your student. So there's links here. It's actually called Sora. One of our former superintendents, I remember she used to say this when her kids were in the formative stages. She would play an audiobook as they went to bed every night in English and Spanish. So this might be the best use for your old cell phones. If you don't trade in your cell phones, get that old cell phone, put it on a web browser, and log into Sora with it. And then you can have an audio player right in your old cell phone and access Sora. So we provide that. Here's a sheet here on how much audio promotes literacy, and really good use of media here. Just wrapping up here, there's a link to the Common Sense Parent Newsletter. And if you want more tips from Common Sense Media, you can sign up for them. I think they come in English and Spanish and maybe a few other languages. But they're on top of a lot of things. I just read their newsletter today. They share the good things as well as a lot of things that make the headlines are the bad and scary things, but they kind of balance it out, which is we like. So again, look at this, the best media list for families, best podcasts. So you can subscribe to their newsletter. And if you think you're paying too much for internet, there's Comcast. They have their Internet Essentials program here, and you can see if you qualify for that. It's $10 a month, which that's a pretty good price if you qualify. So, and they also have multi-language support there on their hotline, I'm told. So if you're worried about doing it wrong, you're probably doing it right. So, it's just setting good habits and staying aware of trends, and also kind of talking to other parents. That probably might be one of the best things you can do, is talking with the parents at your school, especially if they're little, to find out what's working for them. So if you have other questions about maybe the tech your kid's using in your school or that, you feel free to reach out to us. Our link is here, the DPS Educational Technology Team, and you can contact us, or if you have a library resource you can't access, let us know too. And I think that's it. Thank you. I think I'm turning it over to Jasmine here,
All right,
but
super.
thank you for engaging.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here and everything in between. I do want to share quickly just a few upcoming events. We'll do our closing feedback form, and then we will do our giveaway. We have 3 families going home with tickets tonight, so I hope that you stick around for that. Just one moment. So first upcoming, I just wanted to put this out here one more time in case there's any families here that have not attended or signed up for our longer programs. We have Common Kind Family. It's trauma-informed in 3 key areas to teach families better skills for mental health, self-regulation, and managing your own emotions to be able to support your child. It does start tomorrow. So if you are interested, sign up tonight so that we can be able to mail a workbook to you. It'll be virtually on Zoom from November 4th to November 7th, 6 to 7 p.m. If you are a family from the Southwest, we have a couple opportunities revolving around advocacy. First one I should share is that we have our DPS Family Advocacy Program. It will be 3 sessions in November. We'll set a date and time based on when parents are most available, but it's an opportunity to come learn advocacy skills and make sure that you are a family in the Southwest region. If you do attend one of those schools, reach out to me to get signed up. I will drop a link in the chat for you to be able to do so. So here's our, in the chat, oh, it's not opening for me. So here's our family advocacy link. Family. Okay. And our Common Kind link. Then I'm going to go ahead and drop the feedback form. We'll do 1 minute to complete that. If you have any questions for Brian, this is a great opportunity to do so before we dive into our giveaway. So go to tools, and that survey, you should see it on your screen now. All responses on our surveys are anonymous. We just want to see if you found the session helpful, see if there's anything we can do better for next time to keep you coming back and learning with us. About 20 more seconds on this. All right, super. Then we'll go ahead and move forward with closing out our session today with our giveaway. So I'll pull up my wheel of winners. We're going to pick 3 winners tonight. The list is Jaime, Dave, Aaron, Shannon, Diana Robles, Diana Herrera, Angela, Adriana, Christine, Alexia. If you did not hear your name, let me know now. Okay, I don't hear anyone, so I'm going to do my first spin. Yay, congratulations, Diana Robles. I will reach out to you using your contact info that you signed up with tonight. But we're going to spin for 2 more. Okay. Yay, Angela. All right, I will reach out to you. If you registered by email or phone, I'll reach out to both, like always. Our last winner tonight. Right, Adriana Elvira, congratulations. That's everybody today, but keep coming back. We love giving away tickets to family fun experiences in Denver. That's our thing, to keep you coming back with us. But that does close out our session. If you have questions, you can reach out to Brian Dino via email, Brian_Dino@dpsk12.net. And then you can, as always, reach out to me, Jasmine Rigby, with questions around this session or bringing this session to your school for families. That is something that Brian loves to do, is bring this in person. But I will keep this up, and you are welcome to stick around if you have questions. We'll stop our live stream, which I will have to close for a minute to do that, so that all your questions can be private.